Hello and welcome to the Big Bank Theory podcast. My name's John. I'm here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Hello.
Another week. Another win for Exeter City. Back in the league this time. Getting back to winning ways in League One.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Well, I think it helps, doesn't it, to win matches even if they're not.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the old momentum, isn't it? We saw the bit of that last season when we didn't do that. I'm looking at you, 9-0 against Reading.
Indeed.
And I don't know, yeah. I don't know any of the maths or stats behind these things. It's more of a kind of feeling that I guess it's obvious that you want to kind of have the kind of environment of winning matches, whether they're what competition they're in doesn't really matter. Got
Indeed.
the win.
Indeed.
It wasn't a glamorous affair.
No, so it was Exeter City, Charlton at home. Charlton, obviously former Premier League. We were basically equal on points with them at the start of the match. Managed by Madman, trademark, Nathan Jones.
Yep, he's a bit of a character.
Well, he didn't seem to do anything much on Saturday.
No.
Full away end.
Very full ground, over 7,000 for this one.
Mm-hmm. Nearly 8,000, wasn't it?
May well have been. Yeah, good. It felt busier again, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Bit of a 4-4-2, I think, although it's kind of a bit fluid, isn't it? Because Macmillan seems to sort of move between right back and kind of in midfield, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of, that role. What do they call that? The inverted.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't know what he does, what it's called, but he's doing that. And yeah, the first kind of half an hour or so, I was thinking, this doesn't give us enough. We don't get enough possession here because obviously we're a midfielder down, but fair play. After we did sort of begin to kind of take hold of the game a bit after about 20 minutes or so, and we started having a lot of corners.
Yeah, we did. A lot of corners.
Just ridiculous amount of corners.
More corners than a dodecahedron, literally. 13.
Yeah, there's not even a name for a 13-sided shape.
No, they gave up.
There was no point, just say 13 sides.
These mathematicians were like, we're here for the numbers, not the words.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, lots of
corners, but none in the first half threatened at all, really. If you look at the stats...
They really didn't.
No.
They really didn't. Everyone an in-swinger. To me, so no Reece Cole in the squad. I guess he's still not quite up to fitness or whatever. Mm-hmm. You had Ed Francis swinging him in on the right-hand side with the left peg, and Sweeney, at least on some of them. I think it was Sweeney taking all of the ones on the other side. So all in swingers. Just nothing from any of them in the first half.
No, it really wasn't.
I mean, they're big lads, aren't they?
They're
Charlton.
big lads.
They seem to want to... that seemed to be how they wanted to play the game, which was kind of by, sort of big boy shit.
Niskanen had a chance, didn't he, where he kind of broke for him. Again, he was super impressive. I think he's becoming vital to the team, isn't he, Niskanen? In a way of like... It's intangible in a way. Like, he doesn't get... Well, he's had one goal ever. He's not usually the man you want to be on the ball on the byline, although occasionally it works out. But the work rate, the chaos he causes, the tackles he puts in...
Incredibly useful player. Yeah, it's this weird lower league kind of thing, isn't it? Where, because most people watch Premier League football even alongside or Champions League football, even alongside their lower league team, like we all do, You're used to kind of like players having to be kind of like competent in all areas, if not good in all areas, whereas it's a slightly different affair in lower down, isn't it? Whereas somebody who, no shade to our favourite Finn, but he's not the most technically able, is he? Do you know what I mean?
You wouldn't rely on him to make the right touch or play the right pass.
Yeah. I know he's not like, I'm not saying he's not, He's not like he's total shit on the ball.
Not at
you know
all.
what I mean?
He's much better than your average person on the street.
Yeah,
i.e.
yeah,
us.
yeah. Of course, yeah. But like, yeah, the other things he brings to the game are, far beyond like the abilities of a lot of other people. I mean, yeah, just an incredibly useful player, brilliant, and just yeah,
So yeah, 20, 25 minutes in, we started to, because you're right, that first 15 looked like we couldn't get a hold of the ball at all. Felt a bit like the Huddersfield game. By half time, actually, we were on top, I would say.
yeah, definitely. Well, we'd had about 50 corners by then.
Well, the corners aside,
Speak for themselves, and
but
they hadn't really had any
they
chances.
hadn't really had any chances. Second
There's
half,
there's one save from in the first half in there from
Macmillan.
no, he's the right back, Whitworth.
Whitworth. Why do I get them both confused always? Anyway,
Well, I don't know, because there's really nothing there.
I still couldn't tell you what Macmillan looks like. So that's part of my problem.
I'm starting to learn. He's got a tash now. He's one of the moustached Movember boys.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Mo Molam.
Mo Molan. He looks quite a lot like Mo Molan, actually.
Oh yeah, all right. So
I always get confused between Mo Molan and what's the other one?
and
Anne
Widdicombe.
Widdicombe. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand. Same era, not dissimilar, but wildly dissimilar in terms of politics.
Yeah, yeah, big
More
time.
on that later.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely more on that later. Yeah, and like I said, not exactly a glamorous game.
No.
Especially the first half, and then 0-0 at the break, and it was, you're thinking, well, it's fine, really, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I think 0-0 against Charlton. You always feel like a team like Charlton. They pay a lot of money for their players.
Yeah, well, and they seem to be quite, but it looked like what we were trying just didn't have any chance of working, because it was like, well, what we're getting is lots of opportunities to put the ball in the box, not just from the corners either. There was kind of like a lot of time when Niskanen got down the byline and was able to put crosses in, and several others, Ali and people like that, but it was like every single thing they just headed away with ease. You mean like that's how it seemed, but yeah.
Second half, bit of pressure on from them, but within 5 minutes, we were again reverting to type, or the game's reverting to the pattern it was in before, and then finally a corner pays off.
Yeah. What time was this? Had
An hour.
Gary
It was
already
on
made
the
a few
hour.
changes by this point?
No, it was on the hour. No changes.
No changes.
And the 13th corner, and then of course we didn't have any corners afterwards, but it worked on this.
Was that the last corner? Was it
last corner, I believe, for us?
Right. Yeah.
Ed Francis and Kramer, who always is the danger man. Like, if anyone's going to be dangerous in the corners, whether it's working or not, it's him, isn't it? What's that? His third goal for us now from a corner?
Is it?
There was one in the friendly as well, wasn't there? Pre-season.
Maybe.
He's definitely primed for that kind of behaviour.
What would you call that kind of header?
That's a glance.
It's kind of a glancing header.
Kind of a glance and kind of a flick, isn't it? So he runs towards the front post and nudges it.
And kind of, directs it, I'd say. More than a nudge, directs it to the back post.
To the back post.
Yeah, lovely goal.
Lovely goal.
Lovely goal. Lovely looking goal from a lovely looking man.
He's changed a lot. When you look at his goal celebration video, presumably made in July, and what he looks like now, I'm like, oh, he looks quite different.
Is it because he's all clean shaven now and
that's...
his hair's a bit longer? He does look, my brother pointed this out, he looks like a man from a different era.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? He looks like kind of like 90s boy band kind of look, really, isn't it?
He does look like that, like he was in Let Loose.
But a French one, Let Loose is a good example, actually, because it wouldn't have been one of the main ones,
No.
Yeah. A1.
And then
one of the ones you don't know from A1.
Yeah. Yeah. No. There was a boy band called Northern Line, wasn't there? Remember them?
Northern Line?
Yeah, and they had the song...
What are they named after?
They had song Love on the Northern Line. I couldn't tell you anything about the song or the band. I just really remember that. I thought, that's lazy. That's what I thought in 1993.
Okay, yeah. You expect more from your boy bands.
I do expect more from my boy bands. And then, of course, the crowd appropriated the former Timothy Dieng song describing
Oh, the old
The song.
Belinda Carlisle number.
Yeah, Silky Frenchman is all we need.
Yeah.
And I would say that Tristan Kramer is indeed Silky Frenchman.
He is.
So fine.
Wasn't there someone else that didn't we have that chant for somebody else last season? But it was like, I don't think it was Frenchman. I think it was, I don't know, they must have put something else in there.
I don't know, I don't remember.
Okay, don't know. Neither do I. Anyway, yeah.
Silky Yorkshireman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say he's as silky as Dieng, actually.
Yeah. In a different kind of way.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was lovely. That was absolutely lovely stuff. 1-0.
After that, we got a bit complacent and probably should have conceded an equaliser.
Yeah, so he made a few changes not long, about 10 minutes after, didn't he? So...
yeah, Jay Bird and Dimitri Mitchell, the first two to come on.
That's right, with about 20 minutes to go.
And that was Ali coming off, wasn't it? And
Aitchison.
Mm-hmm. Mitchell looked busy, but by that point couldn't really affect the game massively. Same with Bird. They didn't have, I thought he held the ball up well, Jay Bird, and it's interesting to see that he seems to be kind of like, played himself into being ahead of Sonny Cox.
He really has.
But he's taken his chances, hasn't he? He's been given his chances, and he's taken them.
Yeah.
So he's earned it, and I've just got a bit of a good feeling about him. I'm not suggesting that he's going to be like, Stockley or a
Nombe.
or a Nombe or anything like that. I think he's got something about him that I just kind of quite like.
I think, remember when he signed, Colwell said, he's not for now. Don't expect... Do you remember he kind of told us off?
Yeah.
And I think was suggesting we hadn't given James Scott enough time. Remember him?
I think we gave him plenty of time.
I also agree. But with Jay Bird, I think because Colwell clearly flagged that up at the beginning.
I keep an eye on a lot of these ex players, and as far as I can tell, I'm not sure James Scott's done much for St Mirren.
Has he not?
I think he maybe has scored one. But...
Right. Yeah. I think it was hard for him. Don't think he was the player he'd once been.
Anyway, doesn't matter now. We've moved on. We're on to Jay Bird now. Jay
Bird, because Colwell framed it in those terms, and we've got now to the, fourth month of the season. You feel like, yeah, okay, this is what Gary expected. Gary's a good coach. We were all ready for that. He's been slowly introduced to the team. Now he's playing 20 minutes at the end of a game.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting when on Saturday we're going to be without McGuinness.
Yes, him and Niskanen, both on international duty.
Which is a loss, but it'll be interesting to see what he does with that starting front line.
Yeah, it will be, yeah. I mean, I suppose the question there is, if you keep it the same formation, maybe you do just put Bird in as a direct replacement for McGuinness, which I think could potentially work, because I think they both hold up the ball well. Or we've seen Ali more as a wide man if we go back to the kind of previous formation, and then you could maybe bring Ali into the middle and start Mitchell if he's ready for that. Who knows? We'll see. That will be interesting. But yeah. But they had a few. Charlton had a few gilt-edged chances.
They really did,
which they really should have done better with.
Didn't even hit the target on either.
No, and I think it was two very clear ones, wasn't there, where they should at least hit the target, and another one where I thought they could have done better. And on another day we could have been punished. But we've had quite a lot of that this season, haven't we? Where we've maybe kind of ridden our luck a little bit.
I mean, you also make your own luck, don't you? Like when they're
I think that's it.
When they're getting those chances, none of these were like, oh, he's got 10 yards of space. He's really under pressure. Both those Charlton chances. Yeah,
well, I think one of them was a bit.
One was a bit. Should have scored. Yeah. But what I'm saying, I suppose, is gone are the days when... Could you remember last season?
Well, what you need...
like, why is there a free man there? Why is there a free man...
Yeah, against a lot of League One teams, you need to give away quite a few chances for them to score, don't you? Because none of us down here are that great, And if you're against a team that's really in form, maybe punish, a lot less. You get punished a bit more.
Wrexham or Birmingham City are going to punish those opportunities. But I just felt I feel constantly encouraged by this backline that they don't get much wrong, and if they do, they're not far wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I still think it's a shame about John Lee, because I feel a lot more assured
entirely
with him there.
Yeah.
But
what was he, 10 weeks?
I think it was 8 to 10. It's the classic hamstring.
Okay, well, we're 2 weeks in, so we'll see.
That's Christmas, pretty much, brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Purrington's doing a reasonable job.
Yeah, Purrington on
A
the
good
left,
job, I'd say.
interestingly.
Yeah, I
but
think he's
more
doing
on
a good
that
job.
later.
Okay, so that's 1-0.
Oh, and also we did bring on Kamari Doyle later on. I thought perhaps he could have come on a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Um,
Who's gone? We're not seeing much is Amani Richards at the minute, but obviously with Harper
Yeah, but
and
I know-
Mitchell.
well, Harper was Harper on the
No,
bench,
I
didn't
don't
come
think he was.
on.
No.
And Amani Richards, what's happened? He's not even getting in the squad for
No.
anything.
No.
Um,
Because I thought he looked.
well, I assume he's going
handy.
to go back, isn't he?
You'd assume so.
Well, at this rate, he might.
Well, he played a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? Can't remember now.
No, he hasn't played for ages.
Hasn't
I
he?
think he's only played like maybe appeared like 3 times. Anyway, we'll see about that. And then obviously there's still Pat Jones to come back in.
Oh yes, yeah. If you listen carefully, you can hear us all holding our breath. Okay. Caleb Watts, of course, as well, isn't really appearing, is he at all?
No, not on the pitch. No,
No, not on the pitch. So anyway, with that win, which we're very grateful for, City sit in 11th. Below us, actually drops off quite quickly, although we're quite close, really, to not the relegation zone teams, but it's all quite close in that middle of the league, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it could have swung, and that result right in the middle there for us and Charlton kind of swung us both in opposite directions, didn't it? And the other way around, it would have been.
We would have been
the other way
down
around.
to 13th, yeah.
Yeah.
So we sit in 11th.
But I mean, obviously that's not much difference between 11th and 13th. But 13th on a loss, you're looking downwards, aren't
Indeed,
you?
you
And 11th, we're looking up, and we've got a game in hand, which. I know it's against Birmingham, but say we did win that game in hand, we'd be right up in the mix again.
Yep, absolutely. So 22 points, 13 games played. Just to give you a kind of idea, Stockport are in 6th. They've played 15 and they're on 24. Above them, Lincoln played 14, 25, our next opponents. And then Wickham and Birmingham top with 32 and 30. Wickham, the surprise package of the year.
Yeah, Alex Hartridge is Wickham, although I think he's not playing at the moment.
Rumours of Bloomfield, isn't it, their manager, being lured away.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, various. He's been connected with various clubs. I mean, obviously, you get Wickham to top of the League One, people are going to start looking up.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, we'll catch up with what's happening later after this. Welcome back to the Big Bang Theory podcast. Remember, you can email us, bigbangpod@gmail.com. And quite a lot of people have written in to ask us to take note of the player arrival video. So Ollie Whittle, thanks Ollie, got in touch before the game had even started, which is the kind of, he's right up to date here.
He's seen it. He's thought, I know who wants this.
Yeah.
Because I always watch those videos, but I hadn't watched it at the point when we received this email.
I always forget to watch them. So Ollie, nice.
So what this is quickly is just like, this is when the players are walking in
the car park.
Yeah, and Colin Bratt asked them. Craig Bratt asked them. Kind of question of the week.
Yeah. Right. So that's how we found out about Ryan Woods' reggae interest.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Favourite sandwich.
It's just quite inane. It's almost, the questions sometimes are a little bit like, well, how could you even give an interesting answer to this? But they seem to have been, up in their game.
Fair play, Craig.
The music one was good.
Yeah.
And then this week.
So
read the rest of the email out. I think that's probably the best way to start.
Yeah, okay.
It's his content, isn't it? You know.
Thanks, Ollie.
Probably go claiming it as our own.
He said, would highly recommend today's player arrival video on who would be the politician. A clip of Perks, David Perkins, where it's clear that absolutely nothing going on. There's absolutely nothing going on behind those eyes. Wow.
I can confirm that is a very accurate description of what you're seeing.
He looked amazed and entirely bemused.
He looked like he'd been switched off.
Oh, he looks to Gary for some sort of lead who leaves him absolutely hanging.
He honestly looked like he'd been lobotomized. He's sort of like, it's kind of like grin on his face.
You can't see that face,
trying to
listeners,
do
but he's got it perfectly. And then the revelation that Ben Purrington has led some sort of sinister right-wing coup in the dressing room. That's from Ollie.
Yeah. So you watch it, and almost every player starts alluding to the fact that actually this is Sweeney's first. He's like, this is an interesting question, basically, because we have a lot of debate in the changing room.
Yep.
Or as Reece Cole refers to them, the changies.
Jeez.
He's such a geezer, isn't he? Like,
Jeez. I'm not saying the
we have a lot of debates in the changies.
Changes.
Yeah, anyway, basically it turns out that there's this constant kind of like, you know, political, social, kind of like whatever, the big debate in the changing room.
Yeah.
Basically between Caleb Watts
Yeah.
and Ben Purrington.
Now, we know that Watts writes blogs that are they're pro-player, they're kind of in favour of kind of union action, they're liberally minded, socially...
Yeah, he's a lefty.
He's a lefty.
Yeah.
Which is perhaps rare these days amongst wealthy footballers, perhaps.
Definitely is. Usually if they were... I mean, really, like, you don't hear a lot about footballers' political opinions generally, do it? Because I imagine that they're kind of advised against that kind of thing.
Hence why
But-
Lineker,
Yeah.
fills the void.
But in League One, the different rules apply because there's a lot less scrutiny going on. And they're still media trained and probably said, yeah, you know, like maybe, but like...
So Watts doesn't mind it.
Well, Bratt managed to, open this can of worms, basically,
Fair
hasn't
play. Watch out, Paxman. So, yeah, you're right. Sweeney tells us lots of debates. Obviously, it's been a busy year in terms of politics.
he? Yeah. So you got, and it turns out so you got Watts on the left, and then you got kind of,
What they start revealing is that Purrington has a lot of opinions.
strong views is what one phrase used to describe him.
And he can
Sweeney
really
says
back
he's-
it up.
Sweeney says he's very patriotic.
Yes, he does.
So, you know...
That's very generous from an Irishman, isn't it?
Yeah.
He could have put the boot in there, but very patriotic.
And and then Watt says, I don't agree with anything Ben Purrington says.
Yeah.
Which, given that we know a bit about like Caleb's views,
Yeah.
we can assume certain views about Ben Purrington, ex-Wick's own Ben Purrington.
Exwig, hotbed of
Tory stronghold.
Tory
Exwick.
stronghold Exwig.
So what I'm seeing Purrington as is a bit of a kind of like edgelord, sort of right wing crank, basically.
Are you? Yeah, doesn't want 5G on his phone.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it's that. I wonder if it's kind of like, is it
I'd imagine
conspiracy
it's-
theories, or is it kind of GB News sort of style, kind of like,
Yeah.
just right wingedness?
Yeah, that's my inkling.
Yeah. What? Right wing man, not
Right
full
wing.
blown like.
I don't
Nutcase.
think he's Ricky Lambert.
He's not Lambert. Letizia.
He's not Lambert Letizia, although the pathway's open to
Well,
him.
we wouldn't even bother arguing with. If you were Watts, you wouldn't even bother.
No,
having
that's
that
right. You
debate,
just
would
laugh, wouldn't
Yeah.
you? And you shouldn't be taking along the rest of the players. They'd be laughing at your tin hat.
Well, most of them kind of seem to be more kind of on the side of
Yeah, Purrington.
Purrington.
I bet Sweeney's well Watts secretly, isn't he? I want to think that Sweeney's a man of the people.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? McGuinness was just chuckling about it, wasn't he? I imagine he's got some...
Well, I don't know. He chose Purrington, but the question was, who do you think make the better politician,
Yes.
rather than who do you agree with necessarily? So maybe we reserve judgment on some of their answers.
Anyway, very interesting, Ollie. Well spotted. Well, hopefully there'll be more revelations. I'm going to ask Craig Bratt for... I'm going to tweet in anonymously and ask him to
He won't
push
give
him.
us any info.
No, I'm going to push him to ask another question like that next.
I want to get Watts on the pod.
Yeah, I know
Caleb,
you
if
do. We've
you're
never
listening-
had a guest.
If you're listening, mate, we'll make you our only ever guest.
Only ever guest.
Get on here, the socialist footballer.
Problem is we've only got 2 microphones. We'll have to share.
No, I found some other mics at home.
Okay, we're off.
I've got another SM58 in the
Come
cupboard.
on down, Caleb. Yeah, that was
Caleb, the
Excellent.
professor.
The professor.
That come on in and we'll talk about Marx. We'll talk about,
Yeah, we'll talk about anarchy.
yeah.
We'll talk about where
Let's get to the
free economics has
brass
got.
knuckles of this.
Let's get down to
How
it.
deep does he go? Is he a full blown commie?
I think he's an anarchist.
I think he's more sensible than that.
I think the more Purrington pushes him, the more he goes down, moves away from.
You think? I think it's the other way around.
Oh, do you think so? The more Watts gives
Caleb
him.
seems like real sensible to me. Do you know what I mean? And he's like quite considered.
Okay.
Rather than a reactionary, whereas I see some of these. I mean, I could be doing Purrington a disservice, but I see the,
Listeners, once I was had an argument with Nigel Farage next to High Street.
You did.
Yeah.
Tell the whole thing because I can't remember the insult. I can't remember the specific insult.
The short story is, Farage was trying to make. I work next to Exeter Cathedral, and he was trying to make it look like the cathedral were in support of his. What would this party have been? It was. We'd voted for Brexit, but it hadn't happened yet, so it was that election, Theresa May election, and or the Boris election.
He's not UKIP at this point. He's already left that.
But anyway, he was with Anne Widdecombe trying to get her voted as an MEP. That's what it was.
Right.
And I complained to a policeman, should he be allowed to do this? Because it made it look like the cathedral supported him. I followed this rabble of absolute oafs uptown and ended up stood on a bench above Farage outside what used to be Dixon's. What's it called now?
The White Company.
White Company. And
ironically enough.
So then I had an argument with Nigel Farage, at which point got hauled off the bench, as in like in the style of a dancer on Strictly, to...
I thought, didn't someone twat you on the head with a...
Oh, someone hit me on the head with a sign. That's what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like. Yeah. With a placard.
Yeah.
And then I tried to get down off the bench and couldn't. So two people kind of lifted me off the bench. And then one of these people jabbed me really hard in the... What's that?
Sternum.
Sternum. And went, tosser!
Yeah.
And I think that was Ben Purrington.
Well,
I've now decided...
I think it probably, with hindsight, probably was him.
He shaved off the grey beard and wild man hair. But yeah, anyway, that was me and Farage. And I think Purrington is... I don't want to cast aspersions, but I think he's Nigel Farage's puppet master.
I mean, I don't think it's... yeah. Who's funding him? Aaron Banks?
With Purrington, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Who's paying Purrington's wages?
Interesting. When we
Putin.
Let's really look into the sponsor, because you know the players are all sponsored by companies you've never heard of, apart from McGuinness, Mill on the X. Thank you very much.
We don't know Mill on the X's political
We don't.
affiliations.
But I reckon it's all shadow companies
Really?
sponsoring Purrington.
Shadowy think tanks.
Yeah, that's my theory. What do you think?
Yeah, well, let's do some research.
That's Craig Bratt's next question then. What do you really know about the people that sponsor you?
Yeah.
That'll put him on the spot.
That's the content the kids want to see.
Really is. Okay, so that was our first bit of correspondence. And then the rest of the correspondence was mainly, as you could expect, pizza twists.
Yeah. How long can we go on? I know. I welcome it. The more... Keep going with the pizza twist content. But, I mean, I was actually tempted to, in a bid to kind of maybe put this whole thing to bed, to get to the ground a bit earlier so we can buy one and just eat it out of like
live recording.
We've talked enough shit about pizza twists.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit disingenuous of us to carry on if we're not going to even eat one, you know?
All right.
I saw that man who did the video about sort of bigging up the pizza twists.
Yeah.
I don't know his name. He wears a suit. He walks along in front of the Big Bang every now and then. Saw him.
Yeah, he was there, wasn't he? Well, anyway, Adam's been in touch to tell us it's got a full title. Who knew? They're actually called Big Al's Pizza Twist.
Wasn't it something to do with Dan?
No, he got confused. He thought it was Dan's Pizza Twist, and he was accusing you of being involved. And then he did some more research and actually realised it's called Big Al's.
Okay.
So...
Big Al, the guy from Happy Days.
Let's assume so.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Are you willing to eat one?
Another reference for the 11-year-olds out there.
All right. Are you willing to eat a pizza twist live on air?
Not live on air,
Oh,
no.
right.
But I'll eat one. I'll
one.
get one. So I don't know when I'm going to do it. Maybe this Saturday.
Saturday's a lunchtime kickoff, so it's the perfect time.
That's true.
Just full disclosure here. I'm not making Dan do it out of some evil.
I'll get one.
forethought. I don't eat dairy products, so Dan's got to do it. Got to take one for the team.
Right.
I took on Farage. You can take on the pizza twist.
You took on for Purrington
Yeah.
via Nigel Farage.
I did, yeah, that's right. Before he'd even signed first. It's that kind of
Yeah.
forethought I'm willing to offer.
Well, I mean, I'm not. Again, I'm not judging anyone for their political views, but this man did choose to play for Argyle before he played for Exeter City, so
I tells you everything. Says
a
everything.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll eat a pizza twist.
All right.
And then we can put it to bed.
Yeah. All right. You didn't like it that much.
I don't think I'm going to like it that very much at all.
All right.
Actually, but
Big Al's pizza twist.
someone said they're incredibly dry, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring condiments.
No, I'm going to have it as God intended.
Bareback.
And by God, I mean taggy.
Potato. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Well, that's good of you to do that.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for writing in. So
AGM content. Are we going to do this?
Oh yeah. So that we had the elections for Trust Board.
Yeah.
And
I was going to go.
Mm?
I had work very late on Friday night.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm not going to set an alarm, but if I wake up in time, I will go.
Yeah.
And I woke up at 10:30.
Not
so didn't go.
No, fair enough. I mean, a person needs sleep.
Yeah.
So Josh Curtis Hale didn't get elected.
No.
The others did.
He's the only one who didn't.
I would have liked to have seen him. I voted for him.
So did I. We can, that doesn't matter. We can reveal.
Josh, if I've got your surname the wrong way around, I'm really sorry. I think that's right.
I don't think he'll care.
Fair enough.
It's a risk you take with the old double barrel, isn't it?
It's the risk you take with two unresearched goons on the podcast.
Well, he's not exactly asked us to talk about him, has he?
Fair enough. Anyway, Latoya, if I got her name right?
Yeah.
The other new nominee did get elected.
Landslide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also voted for her.
Only in this way will I compare her to Donald Trump, but all the swing states went her way.
Right.
So that's something. I think there's a bit of frustration with the Trust Board at the minute. Not from me particularly, although I can understand the frustrations.
Yeah, but there is. Is it widespread, or is it kind of?
It's hard to know, isn't it? It's hard to know. I can understand the specific.
Is this confined to kind of like certain corners of the internet?
Maybe.
I'm looking at you, Xweb.
I mean, I
think Xweb, by the way, is an absolute force for good, and I'm a big fan. But sometimes maybe it
really kind of magnifies, doesn't it?
Is it a true if you just read it, is it a true reflection of kind of like people's genuine, or is it just kind of like what kind of like Xweb users? I consider these people kind of like quite almost the same. Like, I know I'm not a big contributor on there, but we do this.
Yeah.
I feel like we're quite deep in the Exeter City kind of like minutiae.
Yeah. Is
your average Trust member do they even know what any of that's about?
If you look at the Exeter City Facebook comments, it's absolute insanity.
That is they're in even more special.
Yeah, I realise that. I'm just saying, you're right.
Facebook users generally.
You're right. Different groups produce different things, don't they?
They radicalised Purrington.
Anyway, there's loads of videos. I'm not saying Ben Purrington's a crank, but he goes
Should
on...
we also invite Ben Purrington onto the podcast?
Well, we're not the BBC, so we don't have to give
No, we're not.
But
actually, no, you're not welcome.
No, I
only want what?
We've never invited anyone.
Well, we have invited Caleb Watts.
No.
Just now.
Ben, yeah, come on. We'd have that conversation.
We'll have both of you on. We'll host the debate.
Wow. All right. All I'm saying is, I think because people are
you can be
well
Fiona
aware.
Bruce.
Thanks. You can be Nigel Farage. Because Xweb, etc., really understand how things work and the problems sometimes with how things work. And there's been a particular issue that's really kind of magnified some of the problems. I think at the moment there's a sense of like, is this quite working? Are we doing this quite as well as we could? Obviously, as always.
Yeah, but I think you do need people. I do think you need people like that to keep things in check.
I agree. So let's hope that a bit of fresh blood into the board can help that and kind of alleviate some of those things.
Yeah.
I do also think the Trust Board probably needs to spend some money, which I know they're reluctant to do. I understand the issues around...
What do you think they need to spend money on?
Well, I don't know if we really get that good a sense of how they how they do stuff. Like, I think the comms aren't quite up to speed as they could be. I don't, like, I spend a lot of time on like charity boards as part of my job. I go to trustee meetings. Their trustee stuff is as indecipherable as some of the worst organisations that I work with.
Oh, okay.
Like, I just think some charities are really good at saying, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And therefore, can we have more money, or can you volunteer, or can you contribute? So, someone like Oxfam, people really understand what those charities do. They understand how they get involved. They understand the purpose. Don't know if the trust always does that. Part of that is because it's slightly messy between club board and trust board.
Yeah, it's a bit different to.
But I think sometimes you could just do an explainer. I
Well,
think
do they not do this sort of thing? Oh no, well, it's no good doing it at the AGM.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, nowadays, things like info is shared really well. Like, there are methods of sharing stuff really well, so that people understand what's going on. Whether that's education or whether that's how to play kabaddi or whatever it is. Like, people, we're used to finding accessible ways to do that explanation, and I think they could.
Sorry, I just looked at my phone for a second, and you were talking about kabaddi.
Yeah,
Wait, I missed it.
as in, like, you can have a lesson online, like when the Olympics happens.
Oh, I see.
They show you really quickly
sorry.
how to understand something so that you can then watch it. I don't think the trust always does that so well. What we really want is it really to be really clear and straightforward so that more people join the trust. So stood behind us on Saturday were some people who I think were from Devon, who were Liverpool supporters, and it seemed to me this was their first time in a long time at coming along. And they were saying, as far as I could tell, I wouldn't like eavesdropping, but when people are chatting behind you, when it's the 18th corner, oh, this is really good actually, really feel really welcome. I like this. They were also saying the pitch here isn't as big as the pitch at Anfield. I was thinking, like, well, it's probably pretty close. Those kind of people, we want them to invest in the club, right? If they live in Exeter, even if Exeter City is their second team, how do we do that really quickly and really succinctly so that they come away thinking, oh yeah, I will?
Well, I think a long-term problem that the trust has had, from me looking at from the outside in, well, not really because I'm a member, but is that I feel like we could have a lot more members, given that it's quite an easy sellable thing, and we have quite a low amount of trust members if you think about it.
I think we're on about 5,000 at the moment, aren't we? But yeah, you're right. Given that we have 7,000 home fans every week, pretty much.
Well, yeah. And there never seems to be much in the way of trying to get any more. I'm sure there is, but what I mean is that they don't seem to be, like, if it was, I would expect it to be more noticeable to someone who isn't really paying attention, me, that there'd be more kind of like join up kind of stuff out there, advertising,
right.
More kind of like, visible kind of like, attempts to get people to join it, whereas you never really see anything.
No. So, like, I got a thing through the door the other day, and it's always on social media, the Disasters Emergency Committee asking for money for Gaza, and they'll tell you very clearly £20 will buy 6 blankets, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what my £2 goes towards, and I'm, like you said, we're in deep on this stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of thing's quite useful.
Yeah. I got one of those ones the other day where they send you a little plastic, looks like a letter, but it's made of plastic, and inside is a bag to put your old clothes and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And usually you just go, oh yeah, I should do that, but whatever, you never get around to it. And I was like, I have got some old stuff. I'm going to put this, so I put it all in a bag.
Yeah.
Load of stuff, decent.
Yeah.
Some good brands in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Some Levi's jeans in there.
Wow.
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
And then it says on the thing, put it outside your house, this such and such day at such and such time. Did it? They never picked it up.
Oh.
That's the last time I'm ever doing that.
Shame. Well, thank you for your sharing. Yeah, I think that might be quite good. So I think spending some money on that wouldn't go amiss. By the way, I'm not questioning for a second that the money does go to the important stuff.
No.
I just think if you
make it a bit clearer.
If you make it clear, I think you'll get more people.
Every year when I look at the manifestos, I am sort of looking for that. I'm looking at who's going, like, I want to try and, I've got this idea to raise the numbers of members.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it all seems to be a bit more kind of like abstract than that, doesn't it? It always seems to be about these kind of bigger sort of themes, where I think, like, don't worry about that, just just get some more people in.
Yeah, indeed. I wonder if there's also conversation. Because there's always this problem that they don't really explain it properly because there's always a backlash of, well, I pay for my season ticket, why don't I get the gold? Like the main selling point for the trust often is early advance tickets for.
Yeah. This is debate,
and this is always a kind of debate, isn't it? And I wonder if you just make season ticket holders automatic trust members or something like that. I think conversations around that might be quite useful so that then you could openly say...
I mean, is there even an option when you buy a season ticket...
to join the trust?
To join the trust for an extra...
Yeah, well, £2 a month, £24 for the year.
Extra £24, you on top of this, you could also be a trust membership, and here's what that would give you. Kind of thing. At least it would be...
Or
some people might go for it.
Yeah, I wonder if you make it an opt-out, even. I don't know.
That's a bit shady.
I don't think so. I think you say... your season ticket includes your trust membership for the year, unless you opt out. Like, I think there's value in all of that stuff.
Okay.
Just because I feel like they don't always promote the trust as exuberantly as they could, because there's this backlash of like, well, I've had a season ticket for 20 years.
Yeah.
Why don't I? I think, actually...
I still find it a bit strange that someone would have a season ticket for 20 years but has no interest in getting involved. Whether or not you agree with every single small detail of how the trust is run, as a concept, you weren't willing to buy into that, even though you know that the trust board, the formation of the trust essentially saved the football.
Yeah.
There's other factors as well. Michael Jackson, people like that, Uri Geller. Less said about those people, the better. Although maybe Perrington's a fan, but that you don't see any value in go like, you know what? I'm happy to pay £350 a year for a season ticket, but I'm not willing to pay £2 a month to be part of this kind of trust. Which, let's be honest, on the whole, is a pretty good thing, isn't it? Whether or not there's certain issues you might have with it, overall, pretty good.
And I think again that goes back to. There's a mistrust from some people about the trust, and therefore they don't want to pay for the trust, and therefore they're disappointed that their season ticket isn't seen as equal to the trust in terms of commitment.
Yeah. I see it less as placating those kind of opinions and more of just a way of pushing some more memberships, to be honest.
Fine. But I think if that was the main problem, I think that also highlights the issue of communication, because I think actually the trust is run perfectly well, very well. You just have to tell people how it's run, and therefore how they can get involved if that's their big concern. Anyway, we've talked about this for too long, but I think that would go a long way, I think, to abating some of these issues.
There you go.
I
mean, he tells me he listens, so Hawker is the lead. So we've had some good ideas over the years. The Plymouth Argyle smashing arena, various other kind of merchandise ideas that they haven't taken us up on, but this one,
Yeah, don't forget our best ever idea was the pasty waiting list.
Yeah.
Length of time. Length of queue at the pasty kiosk was our best idea, wasn't it?
Well, that's an opinion.
Okay. Right, so it's Lincoln on Saturday.
High-flying Lincoln.
12:30.
Yeah.
On Sky, therefore, grown.
Expect there to be nobody there, and therefore a lot easier for me to secure a pizza twist.
Yes, but you're getting there early anyway, aren't you? Because of your deep commitment to the cause.
Of course, yeah.
We appreciate that. I mean, we win the game. I think we go above Lincoln, and would be fifth.
Well, it depends on
until the
results.
3:00 games.
Yeah.
They drew with Bristol Rovers at the weekend. They, like you said, are having a good old season so far. I think we'll see. I think hopefully Colwell's got us back into the winning ways. I'd be perfectly pleased with the point here.
Would you?
Yeah, I think so. But I also think when we stop anyone scoring, we've got every chance of winning games. So,
yes, pretty good run of form at the minute. Lincoln drawn at the weekend. Won the last three before that.
Yeah.
One of them was in the FA Cup where they battered Chelmsford. Chesham. Sorry, no, Chesham United.
Were you going to say Chelmsford?
Chelmsford, getting confused.
They've, of course, got Ben Purrington's, I was going to say evil twin, but presumably positive and socially minded twin, Jamie Pardington.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's about all I'd say.
Come on, Pards.
Lincoln, I've always hated, but I think those days are gone really because it was what was that great big lump of a player called up front?
Oh, Matt Reed. Is
Yeah,
that him? Did he play for Lincoln?
he was Lincoln, and then when they had that stupid siren, and we kept playing them all the time in League Two.
Yeah. Was that them?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, hope you remember to all get there on time. Hope you haven't zoned out as we were talking about A, Purrington, and B, the trust, and now you're missing this vital bit of information. But it's a lunchtime kickoff.
I don't think many people are relying on this podcast to know when.
You say
what
that
time
because we still get texts saying, "Oh yeah, it's 12:30."
Okay.
Jack.
Yep.
So we'll be back after that. It's just a one-game week, and then we're into all the evenings, aren't we?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So hopefully, at least hopefully McGuinness and Ilmari come back injury-free.
Yeah, interesting to see what we do without them two, because they've been two names, almost guaranteed starters when fit. So yeah.
Okay.
Come on, City.
Come on, City boy.
We didn't talk about very, very briefly. I know this has gone on a bit. They did the old remembrance stuff on Saturday,
they
and
did.
this year opted for no live bugle player, but a recording of the last post.
Yeah, artificial bugler.
Yeah, AI bugler.
Yeah.
I didn't know this because I was having to observe the minute silence outside in the queue because I was late getting there. And I did think, this bugler's good. He's really brushed up.
Yeah. No.
AI.
Yeah, you're right. And then we all messed up the minute silence, didn't we? Or the ref. You know.
Again, wasn't really aware of that because I was outside.
Oh, yeah, right.
But,
So we had the...
was it supposed to go straight into a minute silence after the bugle?
So you have the words, "They shall not grow old," as we grow old, that bit. Then you have the bugle. Then you have a minute silence. Some people are blaming the ref for delaying his whistle. Some people are blaming the big bank for clapping. I'm blaming... I don't know what I'm blaming.
Well, I would say...
Clear instruction would have been
in
helpful.
a way, why would you clap a recording of a...
No, he blew his whistle and then
bugle.
we all clapped as in like the game starting.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so we had the bugle.
I think there's a bit too much. I think they're making a bit too big a deal of all this. Just do the minute silence.
Minute silence would stop any...
Let them old boys put the reef down. Minute silence. Don't worry about it. Maybe
I don't mind having the words. It kind of contextualises it.
Maybe the lads in the media team can find some sort of pop punk cover of the last post that they could play through the PA.
Sure.
Just anyway.
Yeah. No problem with that. Sure, that doesn't reduce the meaning of the situation.
I bet it's out there. I bet there's one out there. They do pop punk covers of
I'd
everything.
imagine it's a Scar cover, surely.
That is a bit... That's a little bit too flippant for me.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for making your feelings clear.
No problem.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll go and record that Scar Punk version now.
Yeah.
And then we can all enjoy it.
Caleb, mate, give us an email.
Drop us a line, bigbankpod@gmail.com. We're on your side.
Come on the pod.
Thanks for listening, everyone. My name's John. I've been here with my friend and colleague, Dan.
Cheers.
See you soon.